Hey guys, how's it going? So, it's been a while since I've done a radio story video, and I've been kind of itching to do one again, but I wasn't really sure which story I should tell. So, I came up with one that I think will be pretty interesting. So, today we're going to talk about a short-lived radio format in Houston, Texas, back in 1992. Today we're going to talk about U106.9. So to backtrack a little bit, I'll just give a brief history of the signal prior to U106.9. Now, I'm trying to remember. I believe, as far as I know, I believe the station was originally religious. Well, I know it was a religious station, but I'm not sure if it was religious, if that was the first format on the signal or not. But nevertheless, the station was a religious format as KJOJ, which stood for Joy of Jesus, which those call signs would later emerge on another signal, which I believe was the former 93.3 FM, if I'm thinking 103.3 FM, my bad. Well, anyway, the station was owned by Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, and Swaggart sold the station in the late 80s. I believe it was around 1989, 1990 or so. And the new owners flipped the station to smooth jazz. Well, they weren't quite getting the results that they wanted with the smooth jazz format, so they came up with a new format, which was U106.9, which would be a hybrid of talk, news, and oldies music. This format launched in the spring of 1992. And I've listened to at least a few air checks of this station. And it reminded me a little bit of 99.5 WOW FM in Detroit, but even more confusing. So what they would do was they would have a topic or something like that, and they would have people call in about it. And then they would have the news and then the weather. Then they would play an oldie song or two and then go back to the topic. And they had some really cheesy station liners. Like one went something like, "Oh, are you bad at math? Well, hey, me too, because I'm in the radio biz." The only thing you got to remember here is 106.9. And then there was one about when a big corporate station offers you a t-shirt or a bumper sticker, you tell them where to go. U106.9. And then they would have the weather and everything. The one host on most of the air checks that I heard sounded a little bit like Michael Berry. If you know who Michael Berry is, he's a conservative talk show host I think he's usually on at night, or he might, at least in my area, he's on tape delay. And Barry is from Texas, so maybe it's the accent. At least it sounds like an accent here in the Midwest where I'm at. But the host sounded very much like Michael Berry to me, and the way they were presenting the station at first, I mean, they just really thought that they were going to be just the next big thing, and this was just something revolutionary that they were doing. And getting back to the station liners, they had one, I think it went something like Texas made U106.9. It had like a sound of a whip cracking or something like that. I'm just listening to these air checks and just laughing at some of this. I'm thinking, this almost seems like it would be like a parody of itself. Like it reminded me of like if you had a radio station in a movie or something like that, and you like had some comedy about some guy who was on the radio and, and had family problems or something like that, and would say just goofy things on the air. Wow, that's a really good topic. So today, let's talk about clothespins. The springy kind or the other kind. I ripped that off from The Simpsons, by the way. Oh, by the way, here's the Righteous Brothers with Unchained Melody. Oh, no, it's time for weather today. Oh, we got to do the news on the 10s. Or, what kind of beer do you like? Budweiser versus Miller Lite? Let me know and call in. But first, we have to play Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. And then we're going to follow that by Jan and Dean, Dead Man's Curve. But you know, back in those days, I have to say, even when you had some of these formats that were kind of goofy, like U106.9 or like 99.5 Wow FM in Detroit, or even some of these morning zoo shows, like on a lot of CHR stations, you know, I'll probably end up doing another video about morning zoo shows, but that were kind of silly and kind of corny. But, you know, those are the kind of things that made radio actually fun and made radio interesting and actually kind of made you kind of want to listen, want to listen to it a little more. You know, unfortunately, unlike today with radio consolidation and everything being in a lot of radio markets being owned by only 2 or 3 owners, that's really sucked a lot of the fun out of it. I remember years ago, Tom Petty did a song called The Last DJ. And I think one of the lyrics went something like, I can't remember, it went something like, here's your, there goes your voice, there goes your freedom of choice. And I think that's so true. But kind of the silliness and sometimes goofiness on the radio, that's what made radio fun. Well, U106.9, did I say 5? I hope I didn't say 5, but U106.9 was not long for this world. Unfortunately, about 6 months later, they threw in the towel as the ratings were almost non-existent. And the station flipped to Z-Rock, which of course was a satellite-fed format. And if you haven't seen my video about Z-Rock 106.7 in Chicago, do watch it. Which the call letters went from KKHU to KKZR. But UFM was kind of an interesting experiment, but it was a confusion gone wrong. So I'm going to ask you guys, if any of you are out there in the Houston area, did any of you guys listen to this station? Do you remember it any? So I just know this through radio history and through air checks, but I've listened to enough of it where I'm just like, good Lord, what were they thinking? Well, guys, that's going to do it for me. I want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And as always, guys, have a great rest of your day.